New Netflix series Kaos is a dark comedy that reimagines Greek mythology in a modern setting. The gods are led by Zeus, who lives on Mount Olympus with his wife Hera. Zeus is deeply insecure and fearful of an ancient prophecy. The show also follows three humans as they discover their connections to each other and the roles they play in fulfilling that ancient prophecy, which could lead to the downfall of not only Zeus, but all the gods. Vero.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Once More Unhinged, our weekly chat show where we get together and talk about whatever we're reading, watching, listening to, or engaging with this week. I'm Ryan something.
I'm Jen Katz.
The queen of this podcast.
Oh, thank you. I wish I had Janet McTeer's wardrobe. The caftans, stunning. She looks stunning in every scene she's in.
She does. She's amazing.
She is. So yeah, today, if you somehow missed that cold open, we will be talking about Netflix's Kaos, an original show starring Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, Janet McTeer as Hera, and an amazing supporting cast of characters. I love this show.
I thought it was great.
I loved this show. So you finished it and you were immediately in our group chat saying, hey, you guys need to watch Kaos. I had seen the teaser and I wanted to watch it. Jeff Goldblum as Zeus, modern setting, sign me up.
Sold.
In. And before I watched it, I listened to the Pop Culture Happy Hour episode of it. And we reference PCHH a lot on our podcast and in our real lives. We enjoy, we're fans. They did not like the show. And I was listening to it and I was, I think telling you some of the things I heard and you were just like, what?
Yeah, no, I had watched the series and finished the series and then listened to the PCHH show, and poor Glenn. I felt like he was on an island by himself.
Maybe he was on Olympus.
On Olympus.
Or he was Prometheus.
And he, I think, was trying to be a bit apologetic for the series, but at the same time was confused at some of the co-hosts' criticisms of the show, which I was too.
Yeah.
And I thought that some of their criticisms were a bit unfair because if you watch the entire series, I thought it was phenomenal. Jeff Goldblum's performance as Zeus was it immediately from episode 1. You're just like, yeah, Jeff is going to be crazy Jeff. And he is, but he's also cool, calm, and collected when he needs to be. There is an undertone to him that I haven't seen in other performances that he's been in.
Agreed. The Goldblumness has scaled back a bit.
Yes, but it's there where it needs to be there. You can tell that there are moments that are not scripted, that it's just Jeff Goldblum. But the rest of the cast, I mean, these are A-list, so actors. Amazing. They're phenomenal. I like the writing. I like the retelling or the new take on ancient Greek mythology and the classics.
Yeah.
I love the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's amazing. There's the needle drops. It's all modern music, but it's different eras of modern music.
You have classical music from Mozart.
Oh, that's true. You do. Yeah.
All the way to George Jones. But again, then you have kind of the EDM.
And David Bowie.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, the needle drops are pinpoint accuracy into the show.
Yeah. And, we've talked about Greek mythology on the show. If you haven't, go back and listen to our episode on Blood of Zeus season 2, another phenomenal adaptation of Greek mythological stories, but it's a fresh story.
Yes.
Blood of Zeus.
Yeah.
And it's more of a traditional storytelling or a traditional mythological storytelling. It's set in ancient Greece.
In the way it's presented. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, Zeus is powerful and strong and throwing lightning bolts. And this is a different take. And I really enjoyed it. It was fresh. It was a new it was new content. And I love Jeff Goldblum's performance. I thought he did a great job.
Yeah, I thought it was quirky where he needed to be quirky, and he was frightening where he needed to be frightening.
Yeah.
It's the idea of a god who is all powerful, the god of the gods, who killed his father and absorbed most of his power and energy, going through a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
And as interesting and fun as that sounds, it can also be scary, because if you meet or ever know eccentric people like this, and I mean, there are some people with a lot of power in this world who are just
Dangerous.
off their cracker and have power, and
Mhm.
that can make for a very scary combination. And I think that
agree.
they do an excellent job of threading that needle. You know, there's so many great actors, and their performances in this are great, from Hades to Hera to Poseidon to
yeah.
Prometheus to Persephone,
Riddy,
the Fates, Medusa. I mean, we have some great performances in
We
here
do.
and really good writing.
Yes, I agree. And then before we continue, I want to go
Mhm.
ahead and drop a spoiler warning. I think we're gonna talk about big events that happen in this show. So if you proceed, just know we're gonna spoil what happens in Netflix's Chaos. So proceed with caution. Yeah, I agree with the casting. I mean, Stephen Delane as Prometheus. If you don't know who Stephen Delane is, he's arguably most famous for portraying Stannis Baratheon in Game of Thrones, where he did a great job there. This is a 180 from that performance. Stannis is, you know, they refer to him as the King of Iron. He does not bend. He is stern, and he never smiles, and he doesn't laugh, and he's
Mr. Serious. He's got one job, which is
he's the rightful king of the Seven Kingdoms.
Rightful king, yeah.
And then he's in the little shorty shorts,
gym shorts,
and he's got this like full kind of beard situation, and he's much more like playful. And when he's basically the Greek chorus. I mean, he talks to the audience. He breaks the fourth wall, and he'll look at the camera.
Lots of wink winks.
What does he say after Zeus kills the Fates? He goes, "Oh fuck."
Yeah, so
Like,
many of those side moments with the audience that you dive into. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, this is a new take on Greek mythology. It's not a story that you've really heard before. They put a bunch of these stories together, but in this retelling, Prometheus is kind of not the architect necessarily, but a key player in this prophecy to bring down Zeus and the gods of Olympus. And he's working with the Fates, maybe. We kind of leave that open-ended at the end. He's trying to get Riddy and Kaos to do their part, and Ari. And I've really enjoyed this show. I mean, speaking of Ari, the actress Layla Farzad, who plays Ariadne, is phenomenal. Her face. We talked about this before. I feel like she reminds me a lot of Olivia Cook, who plays Alicent Hightower on House of the Dragon. Their eyes say so much. Their faces are so, you cannot look away when they're on screen. And I enjoyed this kind of reversal of the story of Ariadne, and I could go on and on about the show. I really loved it.
Fantastic. You know, there's so many characters, especially the gods, who are really having a whole lot of fun with this script.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd love to be able to play a part like that, where you just like, I mean, you can kind of do anything you want. And that's also kind of their perception of who they are as gods. I mean, they're really getting into character with this, but it's these humans like Ari and others who really provide these dynamite performances as far as the struggle that they have to work through with all these prophecies. And the whole show is led along by the idea that everyone has a prophecy,
which I love that,
to fulfill. Or do they? Because the thing is about prophecies,
they're tricky creatures.
We learn in Buffy from the Master, they are tricky creatures. And you have to be very careful as to what you hear and how you interpret it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what makes this show so much fun, is that you hear the prophecy, but you really don't know how it's going to play out. Because if you take it word for word, if you take it for face value, you're going to be thinking that the story is going to go in one direction. But this show is so clever. The writing is so great that it really mixes it up. And that's where everyone gets to have a little bit of fun, and things just get a little squirrely.
They get very squirrely. I mean, Jeff Goldblum, he's a squirrely version of Zeus that we've never seen.
Yeah.
And I love it because, as you mentioned, when these type of people go through some kind of crisis, they get squirrely.
Sure.
And act out. And they're very dangerous. They don't have to be menacingly dangerous.
But when there are no rules, that can be frightening, especially for someone in power, especially for someone who is paranoid. And you get a lot of that with Zeus. You get someone who has clearly some trauma from their childhood with their father, and it's constantly referred to Zeus and his father Kronos.
Yeah.
You know, all the siblings keep talking about dad and how terrible dad was, and you don't want to be like dad, and we're starting to see signs that you may be acting like that. And you have everyone tiptoeing around this main character, Zeus, and you just see people of privilege who have everything that they want. Zeus has everything that he could want, and he's still not comfortable. He's still not happy.
Right.
He notices a line on his forehead. You know, I love the parallels and the metaphors in this entire show with how it relates to folks in real life.
Yeah.
You know, oh my God, I got a line on my forehead. I'm freaking out. Like, is this the end? Is this, am I on my way out? And the way that they play it and the way it's written is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Speaking of Zeus and speaking of the performances with him and other characters, we have to mention Hera versus Zeus. The character arc particularly is satisfying as she comes into her own power.
She's great. Janet McTeer plays Hera, and no notes.
None.
She killed it.
Their dynamic is so tense, and Zeus's constant need for validation keeps clashing with Hera's, you know, kind of, I just want to live my life and do my thing and, you know, kind of be who I am. And, you know, it really kind of offers this thrilling exploration of the power within this divine relationship. There's one scene in particular when Zeus is snooping around in her bathroom when he's not supposed to be there.
Well, he's listening, trying to find her tongue, like the secrets from the
you know, he's having so much fun. He's feeling a lot better. He feels like the prophecy isn't a real thing. And then he's kind of snooping around the restroom. And I love that you hear Prometheus saying, Zeus is forbidden from entering Hera's bathroom.
Yeah.
I think that's so funny because I've met so many couples that it's like, this is my closet, this is my bathroom, this is yours, and this is his. And we have that separate for a reason, like stay out. You know, this is my personal space. And he's in there and he's just kind of like snooping around and kind of enjoying things until he hears something that he doesn't want to hear, which is Hera having an affair with someone saying, oh, you're the greatest, you're the best. And all those insecurities come flooding back at him. And he ends up taking it out on one of the...
That's what I was going to say. What are they called? Tacitus,
One of the Tacitus that surrounds Hera. And she comes back home and realizes
after she's having an affair,
had an affair with his brother,
with Poseidon,
and her brother, and all hell breaks loose because she enters the bedroom or their master suite and realizes that he is not a happy camper. And
no, she finds the body first, doesn't she?
She's mad because he crossed a boundary with her. And then also she has to reassure him. And you said it, you put it so well. You're like, this is a masterclass in gaslighting.
Yeah.
Where she's trying to say nothing's wrong. You're just tired.
You didn't hear
just
anything.
An all-powerful God who's just, you're tired. You have so much responsibility. But at the same time, she pushes back at him. And I love the line where she says, okay, come show me.
Yeah.
Come show me. If I'm going to be on trial, I want to see the evidence.
Yeah.
And he tries to go in and find that box where he could hear her saying these things and he couldn't. And there's just this powerful moment in her restroom, in her closet area, where the two of them really go at it. And I don't understand the criticism from Pop Culture Happy Hour, having seen this performance, how they could not get behind this show, this scene in particular.
That scene's amazing. They both act their socks off. It's tense. It's emotional. You feel you feel the high stakes. I mean, he could at any moment destroy her.
Yeah.
And you see that she realizes that for all she wants to like be queen bee, and she's allowed a lot of leeway with him, but she also knows, and Janet McTeer plays it, she also knows he's dangerous.
Right.
And so she's trying to self-preservation, but she's also lying to him. So it's all these things like,
which we see.
Yeah. Like woven into one tangled knot of just, shit.
Right.
And
the tangle webs we weave.
Yeah. And it's brilliant. I mean, I love her and Poseidon too. Cliff Curtis as Poseidon is one of my favorite performances in this show. I love it. But when she's with him and he is just besotted and he's smitten. I think maybe part of her is too, but she does not want to give up her power, her role as queen, her home. And it's, like I said, I loved this show, along with the amazing performances, the costuming. I mean, we got to talk about the costuming.
Love the wardrobes.
The wardrobe's brilliant.
I want everything that Jeff Goldblum has.
You need that robe, that paisley robe. You need it so you can flick it.
I had mentioned once before when I came over to watch this show with you.
Yeah.
This is fuck you money wardrobe.
Love it. Love to see it.
This is what you're wearing if you've just got that sort of wealth. If you're a god, you're wearing the best of the best. It's caftans, it's silk, it's velour tracksuits and fancy sneakers and gold jewelry. And it's
beautifully
phenomenal. I don't know who did the wardrobe and the costuming in this, but props.
Mad props,
Major props, yeah.
I love Janet. We've talked about Janet McTeer's caftans as Hera, but Dionysus's wardrobe as, he's young. He's the god of revelry and pleasure. And we see him when we first meet him at a nightclub. He's having sex with men. He's having sex with women. He's doing drugs. It's like, it's revelry. It's bacchanalia. Like, it's just fun. And his wardrobe reflects that. I love his button-up shirt that's like the Basquiat print of an art piece. I mean, and his hair is like that. He's he's got dark hair, but he's got the bleach blonde on top, and it's so intentional. When Riddy dyes, her dress that she's wearing in the underworld. Yeah. It's just so thoughtful and intentional, and I loved it. I loved the costuming.
Yeah, the costuming, it's everything. It's sleek, it's extravagant. It is just top notch.
Yeah.
Speaking of the underworld.
Okay.
The underworld sequences are filmed entirely in black and white.
I think it looks really cool.
Gives it a completely distinctive visual style from the rest of the show. It contrasts with the world above versus the underground. I think the scenes are visually striking. They remind me of Netflix's Ripley.
Oh, yeah. Very, very similar to that.
And how that was filmed, where you just get these rich whites and blacks, almost like a very Ansel Adams photography color dynamic. However, this is where I agree with
I know you're
the
going.
criticism for Pop Culture Happy Hour.
Same.
It was the scenes in the underworld for me that did mix up the pacing a lot. They stood alone, which was great. But at the same time, it also affected the dynamic and the pace of the show.
It did.
Yeah.
Some of them drug. That's what Pop Culture Happy Hour said. Like some of the scenes in the underworld with Riddy and Kaos and Prue and Medusa, some of them were like, okay. And Orpheus, some of the stuff with Orpheus, we didn't see him wandering around for that long.
No.
I agreed with that. I loved those scenes, but that's also where I could see what Pop Culture Happy Hour was saying. It drug down the pacing. And I found myself sometimes wondering, like, okay, speed it up.
Let's go on.
My other note about the underworld and that whole scene is I loved the character of Riddy, and the myth of Eurydice and Orpheus is one of my favorite myths. My kiddos listen to a podcast, shout out Greeking Out from National Geographic.
Love the song he sang for her.
It's great.
So fantastic.
So good. And I like this portrayal of a couple where one person has kind of fallen out of love, but you don't know what to do. You don't know how to remove yourself from the situation. And then add on top that he's like a very famous musician and you're his very public muse. And I liked that. And he goes to the underworld because he wants to save the love of his life. And
we all know she's not in love with him.
She's not in love with him. I loved all that.
Yeah.
The romance with Riddy and Kaos,
it was a tough sell.
It was a tough sell. Those two actors who are brilliant. Right. And I love the storyline with Kaos being trans, being born of a woman in the Amazon or amongst the Amazons. But those two did not have chemistry. I did not buy that. Like,
you're right.
Riddy coming out of this relationship where she was not in love with this person anymore and reigniting her passion. Those two that didn't work for me.
It didn't click. I wasn't buying it. And I think that's where they could have mixed up some of the pacing by getting rid of being kind of lost in the wilderness and really kind of focusing on the character arc between Eurydice and Kaeus.
Yeah,
in that way.
I agree.
Speaking of Kaeus and representation of trans people in the show, I think this show excels in its representation of marginalized communities.
Yep.
Queer love stories are woven into the narrative. There are characters with disabilities that are portrayed throughout this in a very authentic way.
Yeah.
Such as Matt Fraser.
Yeah, it's Daedalus.
Yes. And
well, there was the woman in the underworld where Riddy gets her uniform.
There was, yes.
Yeah.
There was a woman in the underworld. There was a moment where Riddy is wanting to exchange her uniform. She's like, hey, do you have any other like sizes or styles? And she's like, nope, you get what you get. And there was just a very subtle moment where she backs away from her desk, and you realize that she's in a wheelchair.
Yep.
I think that it's just, it adds a layer of diversity that makes this series very inclusive and very forward thinking. And I loved that.
I agree. I loved Daedalus, especially being someone with a physical disability. And, you know, Daedalus in the myth, he's got basically magical hands. He can carve anything. He can build anything. And this character, this actor, you know, has a physical disability, but it's not even a thing.
How beautiful that you cast someone with that specific physical disability in a character whose hands were magic, basically. And it's just, I loved that.
I did too.
That's very heartwarming to see. He was phenomenal.
This actor was great
in this role.
Similar to Layla Farsad, who played Ari. His face is so interesting and arresting, and you cannot look away when he's on screen. Those two together in the scene where she goes to his apartment or whatever. His workshop. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really good. I loved the inclusion. We had, you know,
love the Amazon storyline.
Yes, Kaeus, who was born in the Amazon compound, and explains that the rules are once boys turn 15, maybe they have to leave.
Yeah.
And Kaeus was born a girl, but very early on realized that they were a boy, and they leave, and then, you know, fully transitions. I think they even show Kaeus after he and Riddy have had sex for the first time. You know, there's scars, like they had their, you know, he had his breasts removed. We're led to believe, but
the way it's dealt with, the way the mother is like, hey, I see you for who you are, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you have a prophecy and you have a story to fulfill.
Yeah.
It's just not here.
Right.
But I want that for you.
Go be you.
Go be you.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful how they write all of this into this show, but still allow for it to be a little quirky.
Yeah.
You know, it's beautifully shot. Susie Izzard as one of the fates.
Like Lykesis, yeah.
Oh my gosh. What a phenomenal
Stunning performance.
There wasn't a whole lot of scripting for this character, but every time she was on screen, stole the show.
Up. All three of the fates.
Absolutely.
And again, representation. They're all gender bending, non-binary, trans. Like that's the vibe that they all give. And then as we mentioned earlier with Dionysus, there's, you know, queer love. Prometheus is in a relationship with Charon. It's just a great, fun, vibrant.
Charon. I keep forgetting about Charon.
Ramon Tikaram.
What a great actor.
He's great. The show is great. I loved this show.
I think it goes to show that you can have representation and powerhouse performances in a series, in a film, and look what you get out of it. I think it's great. This is a phenomenal show, and I'm here for it. I highly recommend it.
Same. It's on Netflix. It's, as of today, still, I think, number 5 in the top 10.
The top 10.
Yeah.
Still.
And we'll include some other recommendations in the show notes. Blood of Zeus, books by Madeline Miller.
That's right.
All kinds of Greek mythology.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Blood of Zeus, Madeline Miller, you know, this show's for you. I highly recommend it.
Same. I hope there's a season 2. I really hope we're getting that announcement soon, because the way it ends is a cliffhanger. It does not, be warned, it does not, and it does not tie everything up with a neat little bow.
Yeah, we won't spoil how it all shakes out.
Right.
Go watch that for yourself. And Jenny.
Ryan.
This is Unhinged.
It sure is.
So, what is Unhinged this week?
Boy, howdy. So, the end of last week, the cast for the 33rd season of Dancing with the Stars was announced.
Jesus.
You're telling me.
Wow.
On this cast,
If you remember the first season, you might need to schedule your colonoscopy.
I just remember Rick Perry.
Take your vitamin.
Give him the yeehaw.
Yeehaw. Oh my God. That was unhinged.
That was a
We have seen some unhinged performances on this show.
Dancing with the Stars?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, oh my God. No, it's yeah.
Come on, ABC.
Come on. Disney. So one of the cast members is Anna Delvey, who was the woman who scammed a bunch of people out of money. So they did a documentary and a show about her a few years ago, but basically she was this woman who was born in, I think it was still the Soviet Union, the USSR.
Mother Russia.
Yeah, her real last name is Sorokin.
Comrade Sorokin.
There you go. Thank you. And she basically created all these fake financial documents to scam banks, to scam people.
Right.
I mean, she defrauded a lot of people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
She did.
She's currently competing with an ankle monitor. I'm sorry. No.
I don't understand it.
Why would you cast this person on a dancing reality? What the fuck does that even, what does that show? That's unhinged. This woman is a thief. I felt the same way when who was on there? Sean Spicer? Was he on Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No.
Yeah.
Don't give these people any more of a platform.
That's it. That's where it comes down for me.
Unhinged.
You're giving criminals or alleged. I think in this case she's convicted.
Yes.
But you're giving people a platform who don't need any more of a platform.
No.
And you're doing it in order to enrich yourself. And
yeah, they want the clicks. They want the views.
That's unhinged. It's wrong.
It's
in
wrong.
My opinion.
I agree. I think it's wrong. Look, at this point, I think Scott Baio's trash, but you want to have kooky Scott Baio? Sure, he's an actor. Get Dancing with the Stars. She's not a star.
No.
She is a criminal.
Right.
Criminal.
You're making her a star.
It's weird.
By putting her on this show. And
unhinged.
No. Positive reinforcement for positive behavior, negative reinforcement for negative behavior. You are positively reinforcing negative behavior from someone, and you're putting it out there for your viewers, which is this sold as a family-friendly show
on Disney now, like you said,
on ABC, owned by Disney. Yeah. What are you thinking? What is happening here? It's unhinged.
It is. I just don't understand it. When they released the cast photos, I thought it was AI because they show she's like this, giving it to the camera, and it's like the ankle monitor.
Oh.
What the fuck are we doing?
An ankle monitor.
Ooh. Ooh. But anyway, yeah, that's what's unhinged this week.
Is that going to be the new trend now? People going out.
Oh, you saw those people going to
ankle monitors.
Trump rallies wearing bandages, so probably.
I forgot about the pads on there.
Insomnia.
Oh my gosh. Well,
we did it, Joe.
We did it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening to Once More Unhinged. These episodes come out on Wednesday, and be sure to check out our latest episodes of Once More, a Rewatch podcast, which come out every Friday.
For more unhinged content, please follow us on social media platforms. We are at Once More Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Once More Pod on X. Are we really? And
no.
Unhinged is produced by us. I'm Ryan something.
And I'm Jen Katz.
And remember,
Vero.
Vero.
Bye.